So you have to make a little correction in the third chapter, page 25, the second page of third chapter. The second paragraph reads, associates of the Lord offered obeisances to Sri Mahadev and said, quote, no one is equal to Vaikuntha and there is no difference between you and him. And there is no difference between Gauri and Lakshmi Devi. So here you put a inverted comma closed. And is it clear? No. Page 25. Oh, actually I have a different page here. Okay, chapter 3, second page. Chapter 3, second page, second paragraph. Now you got it? Associates of the Lord offered obeisances to Sri Mahadev. Continues. Now where it says Gauri and after Gauri and Lakshmi Devi, so you put an inverted comma closed there. Inverted comma closed. Maybe somebody can help him. Quote, unquote.
That just seems to then continues.
Yeah, then I was coming to that. Then they told Gopakumara. Then, inverted comma, if you really want to go to Vaikuntha, actually, this is a part of their discussion. So this will be a new paragraph. They told Gopakumara, quote, if you really want to go to Vaikuntha, then give up everything and perform 9 types of devotional service. Read Srimad Bhagavatam. Hear the pastimes of the Lord. Soon you will reach the abode of the Lord. Performance of the Nam Sankirtan is the best of all pure devotional service. Due to Nam Sankirtan, one quickly develops love for the Lord. That you take it out. Yeah. So everybody got it? So yesterday we discussed about the third chapter, but we couldn't complete the chapter. The third chapter describes how Gopakumara, when he was in Brahmaloka, he came down. He was asked at the end of the second chapter, he was asked by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Satyaloka to go back to Mathura, go back to Vrindavan. And there, Gopakumara came across his spiritual master. Yeah, although he came to the earth planet after many, many millions of years, but Gopakumara found that the entire geography of the earth planet has changed completely. Still, the Vrindavan or Mathura Mandal, the region of Mathura, was totally unchanged. It was just as he saw that place before. The same trees were there, the same lakes were there, same rivers were there. Everything looked exactly the way he left. And that shows, like Golok Vrindavan, Bhoma Vrindavan or earthly Vrindavan is also eternal. Just as the Vrindavan in the spiritual sky is the eternal abode of the Lord, similarly this Vrindavan on this earth planet is also the eternal abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and time cannot touch this place. It's completely untouched by time. Because in the material nature, time influences everything. Kala influences everything. And everything in this material nature is subject to decay and destruction due to time. But Mathura Mandal is completely unaffected by time. And in Vrindavan, Gopakumara kept on performing devotional service, chanting the holy name of the Lord. And then one day in the forest of Vrindavan, in a kunja, kunja means grove, yeah, right. In a grove in Vrindavan, he saw his spiritual master unconscious due to ecstasy. And he, when the spiritual master came back to his senses, the spiritual master embraced Gopakumara. And due to his ecstasy, his whole body, due to his unconscious state in ecstasy, his whole body was smeared with dust, and there was saliva drooling from his mouth and water running from his nose. So the spiritual master went to the Jamuna and took a bath and came back and gave further instruction on the mantra that he gave Gopakumara. And he told Gopakumara that he was his very, very dear disciple. Therefore, he offered him everything. Everything that he has, all his spiritual assets that he has, he gave them to Gopakumara. And he also told Gopakumara that in due course of time, through the chanting of the mantra, the rest will be revealed to him. His spiritual master gave him all the spiritual assets, and the rest will be revealed to him by chanting of the holy name. Then Gopakumara, as he offered obeisances to his spiritual master disappeared. So when Gopakumara got up, he couldn't find his spiritual master. He saw that he was gone. Then Gopakumara started to chant the mantra that he received from his spiritual master with the newly developed realization that he received from his spiritual master, or by the mercy of the spiritual master. Then as the Gopakumara was chanting, his body, he felt that he was becoming free from the material bondage. He didn't have that material body anymore. His body became very light, and very soon he penetrated through. He passed the regions of Surya Mandala, the part of the universe which is lit by sun is called Surya Mandala. And he saw that all the other planetary systems, higher planetary systems, where he spent so many years, disappear. Even Brahmalok disappeared from his vision. Then he came to the first covering of material nature, known as earth. That is, you see, as all the elements are manifested on this plane in a gross way, they are actually situated on as coverings of the universe in a subtle way. So they are that's called the causal existence of those elements, and this is the effectual existence of these elements. So whatever is actually happening on the earth plane has already happened, or the cause of that happening is there in those layers of the material nature, layers of the universe. And each layer is 10 times larger than the previous layer. Like every the layers after is 10 times larger than the previous one. So earth layer, next to earth layer is water layer, next to water layer is fire layer, next to fire is air, next to air is ether. That there is a mistake, please note that. E is ether. And then after ether is mind and intelligence. Mind, ahankar, false ego, and mahatattva. So in this way, Gopakumara penetrated through different layers, and in each layer he found the personification of that element, or the controller of the element are worshipping their worshipable Lord. On the earth layer, the Lord is worshipped as Varaha. In the water layer, the Lord is worshipped as Matsya. In the fire layer, the Lord is worshipped as Surya or Vivashan. The Lord in the sun planet. Not Vivashan, Vaishyanara. And then in the air layer, the Lord is worshipped as Pradyumna. Then in the ether layer, Aniruddha. Then in the false ego, Shankarshan. And then in the Mahatattva, Vasudeva. So, in this way, different elements are creating a covering of the universe. And then finally he came to the layer of Prakriti. And that Prakriti was very, very dark. The Prakriti layer was very dark. And he saw some resemblance to the darkness and the bodily complexion of his worshipable Lord, Madan Gopal. Then he came to the layer of Brahma Jyoti. And when he came to Brahma Jyoti, the layer of Brahma Jyoti, he became very afraid. And after, then out of fear, he closed his eyes. But when he opened his eyes, then he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although he was brilliant as millions of suns, but he was very soothing, very pleasing to the eyes and mind. And out of fear, when he started to remember, we started to chant the name of Jagannath. Here, of course, you have to remember that Gopakumara became afraid because he was about to lose his consciousness. He was about to lose his identity. And that is the worst thing that can happen to a devotee. For a devotee, koivalla narokayate. For a devotee, attaining liberation of sajujya is like going to hell. Because at that time, at that situation, one forgets himself and one forgets about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus one forgets that he is an eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he started to pray to Lord Jagannath. And this is also another natural characteristic of a devotee. Whenever he is in trouble, whenever he is afraid, he immediately prays to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no harm in praying to the Supreme Lord out of fear or out of anxiety. More simple one becomes, more simple-hearted one becomes, the more easily, more readily he can pray to the Supreme Lord. That we noticed in Gopakumara. Whenever he is in distress, whenever he is in trouble, he simply remembers or he simply starts to pray to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he started to pray to Lord Jagannath because Lord Jagannath is always visible in front of his devotees. As the prayer goes, Jagannatha Swami Nayana Pathodami Bhavatun. So, in this way, Gopakumara started to pray to Lord Jagannath. And then he saw one wonderful personality whose complexion was white as camphor, riding on a bull. He was stark naked. He had a trident in his hand. His hair was soaked with the water of Ganges. He had a crescent moon on his head, and he was descending from a higher plane. and he was surrounded by his associates who were singing his glory. And Parvati, his wife, was sitting there also on the bull with him. So Gopakumara could not recognize who that personality was. So in this way we can see that Gopakumara did not actually have any knowledge about the scriptures. He was completely uneducated. He was completely illiterate, so to say. So that also proves the point that in order to become a devotee, we do not have to be a scholar. Whatever knowledge is necessary will be revealed within our hearts by the mercy of the Vaishnavas. So Gopakumara came across Lord Shiva, and although basically everybody knows Lord Shiva, but Gopakumara, because he was a simple village boy from Vrindavan, all he did throughout the day is play with his friends and tend the cows in the pasturing grounds of Vrindavan. He was not exposed to different types of worship of different personalities. So Gopakumara was surprised to see this personality, and he approached one of his associates and asked who he was. So that associate happens to be Nandi, Lord Shiva's associate, one of the chief associates of Lord Shiva. Nandi and Bhringi, they're two chief associates of Lord Shiva. So Nandi said, "Oh, you don't know about Lord Shiva." And he started to explain who Lord Shiva was. He said he is Trailokanath. He is the Lord of the three worlds. He was the Lord of the universe. And he is the Supreme. There is no difference between Hari and Lord Shiva. So at this point, we have to understand that here is an Acintya-bhedabheda consideration. Bhed and Abhed. We see that in Vaishnava literatures, there is a specific description that Lord Shiva and Hari are different. It has even said that it's one of the Puranas, chapter 3 Puranas, that says that if anybody considers that Lord Shiva and Hari to be equal, then he is a Pashandi. He is a gross atheist. But also here we are seeing that a definite non-difference between Lord Shiva and Hari has been described. So that has been very wonderfully summed up by Sanatana Goswami. He said that this is two different perspectives. For those who are situated in Vaikunthiki those who are situated on the platform of unalloyed devotion, for them there is a difference between Hari and Shiva. Because Lord Shiva is a devotee. Vaishnavanam Jatha Sambhu. But this consideration is for the unalloyed devotees, or those who are properly aware of the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the Supreme Absolute Personality. But those who are not unalloyed devotees, those who are situated at a lesser platform of understanding, for them it has been given, those who consider that Lord Shiva is the greatest, it has been pointed out to them that actually Lord Shiva and Hari are non-different, because the summing up also has been very wonderfully done in Brahma Samhita. Kshirang jatha dadhi vikara vishesha yogat. Just as milk turns into yogurt due to contact of acid, kshirang jatha dadhi vikara vishesha yogat. Similarly, Lord Shiva is a transformation of Hari. So both are actually milk, but yogurt again is not actually milk. Yogurt is transformed. Now, milk can be transformed into yogurt, but yogurt cannot be transformed into milk. Hari can be transformed into Mahadev, but Mahadev cannot be transformed into Hari. So in this way, it has been very wonderfully summed up in the Vaishnava philosophy, in Vaishnava understanding. So Lord Shiva then, Gopakumara then started to offer obeisances to Lord Shiva with great respect, and he could understand that there is no difference between Madan Gopal and Lord Shiva. He, after hearing the glorification of Lord Shiva, he actually felt that actually Madan Gopal is an expansion of Lord Shiva. So he started to think that way, but still he felt some sort of dissatisfaction within his heart. He felt that although he wanted to console himself by thinking that Shiva and Madan Gopal are non-different, but still from the core of his heart he could not accept that. And at that time he heard some beautiful song of the glorification, glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as Lord Shiva also heard that song, he lost himself and he started to dance. And then Gopakumara saw there are some wonderful looking personalities who looked like young boys of 15, 16 years old, of 15 or 16 years of age, youthful personalities whose complexion was like monsoon cloud, who were four-handed. They were traveling through, they were passing by, singing the glory of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Gopakumara wondered who these people were, that even Lord Shiva lost himself in this. So Parvati could understand Gopakumara's mind. So Parvati instructed Ganesh to tell Gopakumara about these persons. So then Ganesh came to Gopakumara and told that they were actually the Vishnudutas. They were the residents of Vaikuntha. And they are going to different universes to rescue the people who chant the holy name of the Lord. And about them, Prabhupada also mentioned that the Vishnudutas are patrolling around all over. And whenever they see that someone chants the holy name at the time of death, then they come to take them back to the spiritual sky. Or if someone is a devotee, whenever he is in distress, they come to his rescue. Prabhupada gave the example of a police car patrolling around the city. So whenever somebody gets into trouble, he calls out and the police immediately comes to his rescue. So similarly, the Vishnudutas are patrolling around this material nature, everywhere in this material nature, to save the devotees. Whenever a devotee is in distress, whenever a devotee gets into any trouble, then the Vishnudutas immediately come to his rescue. So before that, I wanted to also point out one thing, that this abode of Lord Shiva, where Gopakumara met Lord Shiva, is called Muktipad. The Muktipad, region of liberation. Mukti means liberation, Pad means the place or state. So, Lord Shiva explained that this place is actually meant for impersonalists. The impersonalist sannyasis, those who understood the distress of this material nature, the distressful condition of this material nature, and who want to become free from that distress. but who do not have any juice within their heart, whose heart is not what to say, what's the opposite to dry? Like whose heart has become absolutely dry. There's no juice left in their heart. Due to the performance of great austerities and penances, in order to become free from the material bondage, in order to attain liberation, these people become completely dry. And their hearts become completely dry, their hearts become very, very hard. Dehydrated. So those people who are aware of the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but do not understand the sweetness, do not understand the variety that is the source of sweetness, consider that absolute truth to be Advaya, consider absolute truth to be non-dual and without variety, without form, without quality, without attributes. They ultimately attain this position of Muktipad, the state of liberation, which is the other name is Brahma Sajujya. And Lord Shiva admitted that he actually propagated, he by the instruction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, bewilders some atheistic demons in this way. Like in Padma Puran, it has been mentioned, Lord Shiva is telling Parvati how he during the time of Kali Yuga will come as a Brahmana. He'll be Mayavadam Ashat. In order to establish a temporary scripture for the time being to accomplish certain mission. And that has been further explained by Srila Prabhupada, that Shankaracharya had to introduce this impersonalism, because if he presented personalism to the Buddhists, then the Buddhists would have mocked at him and immediately dismissed the concept of God being a person. So Shankaracharya introduced the concept of absolute as impersonal, and in this way he established the Vedas, which was rejected by Buddha and the followers of Lord Buddha. So those rejected Vedas, due to the rejection of the Vedas, they all became atheists. Ved na mania bodho hoilo nastik. Just because the Buddhists did not accept the Vedas, they became atheists. Now, without the Vedas, there is no way, no possibility of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, Shankaracharya, under the instruction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, introduced the Vedas in a tricky way. He tricked the Buddhists to accept, he tricked the Buddhists and defeated them, and established Brahma Bad, which was a temporary scripture or temporary philosophical conclusion of the Vedas, Ashat Shastram. And in this way, Shankaracharya established the Vedas and defeated Buddhism and drove Buddhism away from India. And then after Shankaracharya established the Vedas, then the Vaishnava Acharyas established the personalism or personalistic, dualistic philosophy of the Vedas. And then finally Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and harmonized everything with his Acintya-bhedabheda conclusion. Acintya, this is inconceivable, but there is a simultaneous difference and non-difference. Between who? Between three main considerations: Ishvara, Jiva and Prakriti. The Vedas are dealing basically with these three considerations: Ishvara, Jiva and Prakriti. Now this consideration is next expanded into 5 considerations. In Bhagavad Gita, 2 more considerations have been added, that's karma and kala. Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, karma and kala. Time and activities, action. And then it has further been expanded through Sankhya philosophy into 16, into 24, and sometimes even into 48 considerations. But the main various expansions of the points to consider, but the original points are these 3. The Lord, His parts and parcels, living entities, and His external energy, Prakriti. So, Bheda-bhed, so the Mayavadis, they say all are one. Ishwar, Prakriti and Jeev, all are one. Because they all are transformation of Brahma. When Brahma is transformed, when Brahma is influenced by the mode of goodness, then he is Ishwar. The incarnations of the Lord, incarnations are Brahma influenced by mode of goodness. When Brahma is influenced by the mode of passion and ignorance, then they are jivas. So when a jiva becomes free from the influence of passion and ignorance and becomes situated in the mode of goodness, then a jiva becomes Narayan. So this is the hodgepodge philosophy of the Mayavadis. And Prakriti is a false conception of Brahma. Mittha. Jagat, Mittha. But the Vaishnava Acharyas established very firmly that first of all, this Jagat is not Mittha, but this Jagat is a reflection of Jagat, is a transformation of Brahma, and Ishwar is eternal, supreme, absolute, and the living entities are his parts and parcels. And then they pointed out that there is an eternal difference between Jiva and Jiva and Ishvara, the living entities and the Supreme Lord. There is an eternal difference, and at the same time there is an eternal similarity. The similarity is that both are spiritual, and the difference is that Ishvara is absolute, but the Jiva is minute. So in this way, the Vaishnavas established their Dvaitavad, or philosophy of dualism, over impersonalistic monism, or Advaitavad of Shankaracharya. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu harmonized these two apparently opposing theories through his Acintya-bhedabheda. So that has been explained by Lord Shiva, that how he actually established this impersonalistic philosophy just to bewilder the demons. But the gentleman or the devotees do not become influenced or affected by that kind of philosophy. And then Lord Shiva, when noticed that this Gopakumara was desirous to go to, Lord Shiva explained to him about Vaikuntha, and Gopakumara then desired to go to Vaikuntha, but then he felt that he was completely unqualified to go there. So in his feeling of inability to go to Vaikuntha, he fainted. Then Lord Shiva personally treated him and brought him back to his senses and started to tell him, Gopakumara, what to speak of yourself? Even I, along with Parvati, desire to go to Vaikuntha. Brahma, Bhrigu, all these great sages, they all desire to go to Vaikuntha. Because the entry to Vaikuntha is very, very rare. Only some very fortunate personalities can go there. And he explained that those who are involved in Swadharma Acharan or practicing Varnashram without any desire, if their position is multiplied by 100 times, then that is the position of becoming situated on the Brahman realized platform. The 100 times better is the position of being in Shiva Loka, being with Lord Shiva. And those who are the associates of the Lord in Vaikuntha, their position is 100 times greater than the position of Lord Shiva. So in this way, he established the glory of Vaikuntha. And then Gopakumara started to, then Lord Shiva actually explained to him that everybody wants to go there. But although he wants to go there, he cannot go because he is not qualified. But he told him, but you can go there because you are born in Govardhan, you are a devotee of Mathura Nath, you are a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Madan Gopal, and you have been initiated by a very, very dear devotee of the Lord named Jayanta. Therefore, you can enter into Vaikuntha, but in order to go to Vaikuntha, you have to go back to Vrindavan and perform Nam Sankirtan there, the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Because by Nam Sankirtan, by performing Nam Sankirtan, one can very easily enter into the spiritual sky. So in this way, he instructed Gopakumara to go back to Vaikuntha, go back to Vrindavan and perform. Here also he explained that why chanting of the holy name is the highest. Actually, all these chapters are very large and it's not possible to explain everything that is there in the chapter. Maybe someday we'll be able to have the course along with the book, Brihad Bhagavatamrta. So, one point I want to make here, Lord Shiva here actually compared the chanting and remembering. And he established that chanting is even greater than remembering. By remembrance comes meditation. And in meditation, one can perceive the Lord within the core of his heart. And although in meditation all the senses become absorbed in the thoughts of the Lord, or become absorbed, if the mind, which is the center of all senses, become absorbed, therefore all the senses become controlled. But through Nam Sankirtan, the effect is even more sublime and greater. And the example has been given about fire, an iron rod in contact with fire. Nam Sankirtan actually forces one to become completely absorbed in not only remembering the Lord, but even to render service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And regarding that, I remembered one song by Bhakti Vinod Thakur. He's talking about chanting of the holy name. He's saying, Krishna Nam Dhare Koto Bol. What a potency this holy name of Krishna has. Hridoy hoite bole, jivbhar agrete chole, shabdo rupe nache anukhan. It springs forth from the depth of my heart and it makes its way through my throat. And when it comes up to the region of the throat, then it makes it break, crack. The throat, the voice gets choked up and a distorted sound comes out. And my whole body becomes completely overpowered by some indescribable force. and then forcing its way, the holy name comes up to the tip of my tongue, and it starts to dance. So in this way, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is describing the pure chanting of the holy name completely overpowers us. One loses his identity, one loses himself completely. And in this way, one becomes completely absorbed in the thought, or becomes completely obsessed with the Supreme Personality of God. So then Gopakumara went back to Vrindavan to perform Nam Sankirtan. So that ends the third chapter of the second part of Brihad Bhagavatamrta, entitled as Devotional Service. Any question?
On the conversation from Prabhupada, Prabhupada is having a conversation about the position of Vaikuntha, the Kripa. And in that conversation, they bring out the point that the Vaikuntha is Mahavishnu and Sadashiva. And actually Sadashiva is the residence of Vaikuntha.
Yeah.
He's actually in the spiritual world, he's not part of it. He's not the other, there's another person out there who can also give us this world.
Right. Yeah. Right. Sadashiv is non-different from Mahavishnu.
Right, this is a question that goes along with this point also. We talk about Lord Shiva as the Param Vaishnava. Not most Vaishnava. But yet we see here that he's saying, I don't even have the qualifications of Vaikuntha. So it seems contradictory.
Yeah. Lord Shiva is a Param Vaishnava, as we can see from this Brihad Bhagavatamrta, the description of Brihad Bhagavatamrta. Lord Shiva is a Param Vaishnava from one perspective. From certain perspective, his position is the highest. But when we go to some other plane, then we see that Lord Shiva's position is below theirs, which he himself admitted. That compared to the associates of the Lord in Vaikuntha, Lord Shiva's position is inferior. Then one may say that actually some scriptures are again saying that the associates of the Vaikuntha are the greatest devotees of the Lord. Right? They are the greatest. But then again, when we go to a higher plane, higher than Vaikuntha, then we see that the Vaikuntha Vashis' position are below them. Right? So this is, on the spiritual platform also, there is a relative consideration. Or you can say on the absolute platform also, there is a relative consideration. But that has been summed up very nicely in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that says, Jar jai rosh hoy shei sarvottam. Whatever is one's mellow, original mellow, he considers that to be the highest. One who is situated in Santarash, he thinks Shantarash is the highest. One who is in Dasyarash, he thinks Dasya is the highest, and so on and so forth. Jar jai rosh hoy shei sarvottam. According to him, that his mellow is the highest. But tatostho hoiya bicharile ache tarutam. But if we consider from a marginal angle of vision, marginal point of vision, then there is some difference. And the differences are, the Shanto is below Dasya, Dasya is below Shakha, Shakha is below Vatsalya, and Vatsalya is below Madhu. But it's not that they're competing to go from one to the other. On the other hand, there everyone is situated in a perfect position, and they don't want anything different. On the other hand, they actually want, if at all they want to come from higher level to the lower level. They, like the gopis, are praying, oh, how fortunate the flute is. How fortunate Jamuna is. How fortunate, although they are in the highest position of devotional service, but they are thinking that others are more fortunate than they are. So that is another spiritual or transcendental consideration that we cannot actually understand from a mundane platform or a relative platform. Yes, Acharya.
But Gopakumara was a devotee of Krishna. How did he manage to reach Golok?
Golok. How did he?
Golok.
Huh?
How did he manage to reach Shiva?
He was passing through, right? He was passing through. Like you may be a resident of Benares, but when you go from Vrindavan to Benares, then you don't go to Benares straight away. You have to go through Allahabad, right?
Yeah, but he went to Shivaloka and then he came back to Vrindavan.
Yeah. He went to Shivaloka, then he came back to Vrindavan to perform further devotional service, to purify himself, to become qualified to go to Vaikuntha. Ramana.
This Gopakumara in the process of traveling, does he become like 1,000 spiritual master himself?
Gopakumar? Yes, we will see that Gopakumar actually started to instruct this Brahmin from Prag Jyotishpur. Isn't it? You see, who Gopakumar is telling the story to? And Gopakumar actually is a spiritual master. And later on we'll see Srimati Radharani actually personally sent Gopakumar to that Kunja in Vrindavan to bestow his mercy unto this Brahmana, so that this Brahman could come back to the spiritual sky. Yes, Raghuvi Prabhu.
The Vishnudutas, who are servants of Lord Shiva, come to take the devotees of Narayana to Vaikuntha. So who comes to take the devotees of Krishna to Goloka?
Here in Brihad Bhagavatamrta we find that Gopakumar actually fell onto Jamuna. He fainted and fell in Jamuna. And then in a kind of a half consciousness, he registered that he was being transported in some vehicle with a tremendous speed. So here we actually have to understand that Jamuna carried him to Golok Vrindavan.
In your description of Gopakumara returning to Mathura after being in Satyaloka and seeing the whole planet had changed, but Mathura Mandala had remained the same. I wonder, could you bring that into like our present situation, our present perspective? We go out, we see, trees dying, we see buildings changing, so many changes undergoing that are taking place today. And yet, from that description, millions of years passed seemingly and nothing changed.
Actually, the changes that we are seeing with our mundane eyes, that's only some margin, or what's the expression? Some superficial changes. This is not, but like when one sees, he will see Vrindavan just as, maybe there are a few new buildings here and there, and so on and so forth. But Vrindavan, as such, remains the same. Right? That's one consideration. Another thing, Bhaktivinoda Thakur actually is explaining that the apparent differences that we see is just like an outer covering of Vrindavan. What we are seeing with our mundane eyes is not, we are not actually able to see the real Vrindavan. We are just seeing some external net, and we are seeing Vrindavan through that network. But the actual Vrindavan will be seen only with perfected vision.
So it's a type of my covering.
My covering, yeah.
Do we receive the benefit of being in Vrindavan? We hear descriptions of like Uddhava, he's praying to be born in Vrindavan, and the people in Vrindavan are considered to be so much more fortunate than him, and so forth. But here we are in Vrindavan.
The benefit is there naturally. It's something like you are transported to the king's palace. Although you are not aware of the fact that you are in the king's palace, right? Although you are not seeing the king, or your vision is projected somewhere else. The palace is here. You have been transported there, but you are not looking at the palace. You are looking outside. But you are so close to the king is watching you very closely. And the way you are acting, the king is going to reciprocate accordingly. So that's the advantage of being in Vrindavan. Due to our mundane vision, we are not able to see the spiritual aspect of Vrindavan or spiritual Vrindavan. But somehow or other we have come very close to Krishna's abode. And Krishna and his associates are watching us. Right? And now if we act properly, we'll develop devotion to them, we'll be rewarded with devotion. And if we don't act properly, we'll be kicked out of Vrindavan.
You said Chaitanya Mahaprabhu harmonized the scriptures between Sankaracharya and
You see, the Advaitavad and Vaishnava philosophy. Shankaracharya's philosophy is known as Kevala Advaitavad. And the Vaishnava philosophies are Shuddha Advaitavad, Dvaita Advaitavad, Vishishta Advaitavad. And then finally Chaitanya Mahaprabhu summed everything up with his Acintya-bhedabheda. Yes. What's that?
You were explaining about different regions. So if you had any time left, there was another one.
Oh yeah, they were, performing Varnashram. The Brahma realization platform is 100 times better than performing Varnashram without any desire. Nishkam Shadharma. Nishkam means without any material desire, and Shadharma is one's own dharma, according to Varnashram. Then 100 times better is the position, 100 times better than Brahma realization is the position of being in the Shiva's abode. And even 100 times better than that is the position of being in Vaikuntha. 100 times better than Shiva Loka is Vaikuntha. Okay. Any other? We have 2 minutes if anybody has a question.
Last question about when you were describing how Gopakumara went through the different coverings of the universe, and then he saw somehow the events, I couldn't understand it clearly. He could see the subtle manifestation of what was going to take place on earth or something like that.
Oh no, that was, I just made a comment. I just commented that has been explained there. That this is a causal. The layers are the causal, say causal earth, causal water, and so on and so forth. And what is the difference between water here and water there? You understand my point?
Yes.
Like that region, that's the causal region, but this is the effectual region. Karan, and this is Kariya.
And what is the actual difference between this causal and effectual?
That's subtle. This is gross.
And you mentioned something about some kind of the karmic reactions or something being present there that he could see.
Karmic?
I was thinking that somehow maybe the karmic reactions.
Oh yeah, what I actually meant, this was also, I just mentioned that what happens here already happened there. The cause of everything that's happening here is actually there. Say for example, what's going to happen to you tomorrow is not that it's just going to happen accidentally. The cause of that happening is already there. And it has been explained that that region is very, very opulent. It's also, there is variety and there is reciprocation in that region also.
Demigods reside in those countries?
The inhabitants, the followers of those personalities, they're even superior to the demigods.
Are they eternal?
No. In the material nature, no one is eternal. Beyond this part of Viraja, river or causal ocean, everything is temporary. But beyond that, beyond the causal ocean, everything is eternal. Okay. I think we ran out of time. Anyway, you take the question, write it down, tomorrow we'll take it. Hare Krishna.